Welcome back to Brad's Garage. Today we're working on our 2015 Audi exclusive Solar Orange SQ5. So we're just gonna be doing an oil change. So come on along and we'll show you how it's done. Okay, so step one, obviously we've got to get it in the air. We're gonna be using ramps today. You can use ramps or you get it a jack and jack stands. Most important thing is get it up so you can get underneath. All right, so before we get underneath and start draining the oil, I'd like to just crack the oil fill and then we can go ahead and break loose the oil filter housing. This is a 36 millimeter. So I just loosen it a little bit. Now we can get underneath, grab our drain pan and start taking off the lower plastic shield. All right, so we're into the car. We got to get this plastic tray off. So you're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver and a T25 Torx. On the left and right side, you have 3 Phillips and they kind of just stay in place. Sometimes they fall out. Yeah, they'll come out. And then you have one here. Okay, so you do that on both sides. Then you grab your T25, and the first thing I like to do is take off this little front little wind strip here. So there's a total of 14. So just try to keep track of them. You don't want to lose them. This piece will come off separate than the actual under tray itself. Just keep in mind that the flat part is facing the front of the car. So this just gets out of your way. And then you can continue on taking the remainder. So a total of 14. You got ones along the front here, and then those 4. The back is also a Phillips that you'll use very, very similar to each side. Then we got the 3 more Phillips on this side. They're kind of just like twist bolts, twist screws. So it's just a couple threads and they fall out. Okay, and then we have our back 3. Those ones I think will stay in. Okay, and then I just saved that middle one for last, because as soon as you drop that one off, oh, of course that one falls out. So, I mean, sometimes they fall out. There's kind of a little rubber sleeve, and then you lower it down, and then it's just gonna slide straight back, okay? And then that exposes our oil pan. All right, so now you got your plastic under tray off. You can access the drain plug. It's right on the very bottom of the oil pan, and you're going to use a 6 millimeter Allen or hex, and of course you will get a little bit messy because it's basically directly upside down, so it's going to get all over you. We like to wear gloves, and it's still going to make a mess, so just be aware. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give that a few minutes. The car is warm. We did drive it earlier today, so it has been sitting for 30-40 minutes, so it is a little bit cooler, but just try to do it when it's warm. It just helps the oil flow out a little bit easier. All right, guys, so since we have it on ramps, I just put a jack under the rear end there and lifted it up so we get the car level. That'll empty out 100% of the oil, since the drain pan the oil plug is right in the center of the drain pan, so we'll get all the oil out. All right, so we got our drain plug cleaned up here. We have our old crush washer. I'm just gonna give it a little wipe here. I mean, you can buy a new drain plug, but there's really no reason to buy a new drain plug when you can just buy a crush washer. It's less than $1. We'll put the product links in the description below, but all you got to do is put a new crush washer on and we'll be ready to put that back in. So while it's draining, let's go ahead and work on our oil filter. Here's the part number for your oil filter there. We use the OEM VW stuff. Pretty sure it's made by, I think it's made by MAN, right? Let's take a look. Who manufactures it for them? Yep, Man Filter. So, but this is actually the VW branded one, so it has the VW stamp on it. You have your filter and you have your 2 O-rings. So let's go ahead and get that out. Okay, now we can come back up top while that's draining. Grab your 36, and then you can unscrew the rest by hand. And then what I like to do is just grab a towel, because you will get a little bit of a drip there. Just hold it over there for a few seconds. Go ahead and make sure it's draining. Once you get it nice and drained, then you can go ahead and just turn it upside down. Okay, so once you get it out, the oil filter just simply pulls off. And then one of the O-rings is inside here, so we have to grab that out with a little pick tool. I'll show you how that's done. What you want to do is go ahead and get some needle nose pliers and look around on the O-ring itself. There's one little spot that has a tab, so you can just grab the tab with your needle nose pliers and you can pull that out. As you can see, one little spot around the whole thing has a little tab to pull. So those engineers did a good job there. So I always like to just double check, make sure everything's the same. So filter's good. We have our new O-rings. So we'll do the big one first. And then I just like to, you can get your finger in there, get some oil, put a little bit of oil on there, and just make sure when you install it, obviously, that the little tab is facing up. So next time you do the oil, you'll be able to grab it. And then just go ahead and get it back down inside that channel and just run your finger along, and there you go. Now you can go ahead and get your filter and slide it over the plastic piece there, and then just, yeah, clicks into place. So now we're going to go ahead and get the O-ring off of the filter housing itself. I'm just going to pull this little cover off. It just pulls off. There's 2 little rubber grommets that hold it, just so you guys can get a better visualization. So the other little O-ring is right here on the lip, so you can just grab a little pick tool and just grab it, and we just grab it off. Okay, just like the other one, I just get a little used oil on my fingertips and go ahead and make sure it's well coated, and then you can kind of just put it back inside that groove. All right, there we go. Now you don't need the towel anymore, and we're ready to reinstall. All right, so we gave the nice housing a little wipe down so it's nice and clean. You don't want any oil on the outside, otherwise it just attracts dust. And we're going to go ahead and just thread this all the way down by hand. Okay, and we'll grab our 36 with the torque wrench. All right, we got our 36 on. We have our torque wrench. This is set to 25 Newton meters or 18.5 foot-pounds. So not very tight. That's all it takes, guys. So don't go crazy. It is plastic. All you got to do is set that. It just has 2 little clips right there. Just clips into place. So got a clip there. Okay, that's back on. All right, after you got it nice and drained, it's always going to drip a little bit. Just give it a nice little wipe. You got your drain plug with your new crush washer. Go ahead and get that started by hand. I like to thread it all the way in by hand. Grab your 6mm Allen and my torque wrench, and this is torqued to 30 Newton meters or 22 foot-pounds. So you're just basically just crushing that washer. That's about the only tightness you're getting there. That's all it takes. Okay, so now that we got that plug back in, got our drain plug in, you're gonna slide this all the way back, go back first, and then go forward and get these tabs into the front bumper cover. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 tabs. So after you get the tabs in, then the front will be held in place. Then you have your 2 screws that stayed in. You can tighten those back up. And then we have our third here. Locks into place. Okay, we can go ahead and get our in ones, our Phillips in. Like I said, they're just like quarter turn screws, not really threads in, just like one little twist and lock. So you have one here, and then one right back here by the fender well. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. You have your 3 Phillips. Get those in first. I'm not sure why Audi never copied BMW. You know, BMWs have like a little square that's held on by one bolt. You can just take a little square off so you don't have to do the whole tray. So not sure why Audi hasn't caught on to that, but nevertheless, I mean, I guess you could always use the extractor. You know, you could suck the oil out and then you don't have to get underneath at all. So maybe that's a good investment, guys. So get your T25 and go ahead and get your front bolts back in. And then we have our 5 left for the front. Just remember the flat edge goes towards the front. Just get one to hold it in place. And then you can put your last 4 in. Okay, we got all the bottom button back up. We're going to use our Torco SR1. This is 5W40. This car calls for 5W40, 5W30, or you could even use 0W40. We're going to use 5W40 SR1, fully synthetic. You pull off your oil cap here. I like to just make sure everything's nice and clean. Give it a good little wipe. And this car takes 6.8 liters or 7.2 quarts. So we're going to start with our 4 liters first, and then we'll add a couple of more. All right, let's grab another jug. All right, so we got our second bottle. We filled it up. We buy them in 5-gallon jugs, so we filled it up and we put in 2.8, so we're a little bit below the 3-liter mark. So let's go ahead, put our funnel in, and put in the remaining oil. Okay, we go ahead and have our cap and spin it around. Oh, I think I have it backwards, guys. We want the nice fancy logo to face forward, so. Okay, now let's go ahead and fire it up. Keep in mind, this car doesn't use an actual physical dipstick, so we actually have to crank it up, let it idle for about 2 minutes, and then let the computer tell us that the oil level is correct. But we kind of know we put 6.8 in, so we should be good. But let's back it up and get it off the ramps, get it on level surface, and check the oil level. So we ran the car for a couple minutes. Just go ahead and hit the car button right here. As you can see on the display, go to your systems, which is this one. Service and checks, press down on the middle, and then you can go to oil level. And then it will show up after a couple of minutes. We just turned the car off, so we did let it idle for 10 minutes just to warm up everything. And then we'll see what the little fancy computer tells us about our oil. All right guys, so after a couple minutes, it's gonna show this graphic, and now you know that you've done a good job of filling the oil. All right, so next one I wanna show you guys to reset the oil service due. So when you first turn on the car, you see the old service due here, service due. So same thing, go to your car menu, go to service and checks. Last time we were at oil level, you're just gonna go down one more to service intervals. We said it was due for 300 miles, and then we're gonna go to one click down, reset oil change interval. Are you sure you wanna change, reset it? And now it's done. So it's good for another 10,000. That's what Audi recommends, every 10,000. We do it every 3. As you can tell on this car, you know, it's a 2015, only has 36,000 miles, so we don't drive it that much. It's kind of our baby. But yeah, you decide on what oil change interval is good for you. All right, guys, so hopefully it helps you out with your Audi SQ5. They use this motor in the S5 and the S4 as well, so the under tray and stuff is slightly different on those cars, but the same basic layout for the engine. Oil filter's the same, quantity of oil is all the same. So thanks again for hanging out on the channel. Catch you guys on the next one.